Black Cat Lounge is sponsored by Beacon, a home for those who have a passion for filmmaking and the unusual. The Haunted Hinsdale House. Those who walk there do not walk alone. Paraware, apparel for the action-seeking paranormal investigator. Dragonfly art and soul for all of your magical, metaphysical, and spiritual needs. Mystery Control, your go-to feed for science, magic, true crime, the paranormal, and so much more. Paraniagara, one of the top rated destinations in Western New York. The Black Cat Lounge is part of the Paraflix Entertainment Network. Everybody, Tim Shaw here. Thank you for being here. I'm so thrilled that you're sharing your Tuesday night with us. How's everybody feeling? You guys healthy? The reason I'm asking is, man, I caught a heck of an upper respiratory right around Christmas, and I've still got, now you guys can probably tell by my voice, I've still got a little bit in the chest, and it doesn't seem like it wants to go away, so it's like, please. But in the meantime, I'm doing well. I can't complain. I'm back to the gym because why? It's a gym thing. What can I tell you? It's just a gym thing. We've got a great show for you tonight. We have my all-time favorite buddy, my travel companion, the man with whom I have spent, well, quite a few sordid evenings in places that we really can't talk about, including the men's room in Detroit. That's one of my favorite stories. Everybody goes and asks me about that story where Johnny and I rode out a horrific storm, 28 hours basically in the men's room of the Detroit airport because it was the only safe place that we could go because we were evacuated. But so, you know what? Without going and getting into more things, I by the way, I'm just going to let you guys know that I do have a couple things that we're going to do some openings on in the future. A couple new things, maybe a new board or two, maybe some interesting poetry. Anyway, but I want to bring out a guy that, when we first met, we became friends, like instantaneously. And he's always been there for me to answer my questions. And, in this field, you have to find that one person who that isn't going to go and make something up. Because how many times have you gone to somebody with a question and they go and they say, oh, well, I studied for 3 months under so-and-so at some exotic location, and you should do this. And that they never left New York State or whatever, But this guy is the real deal. And we're going to talk about some kind of neat things that I want to talk about, some things that I've wanted to go and ask him. So anyway, guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let me bring on the true Godfather. I was going to, you know what? He's just not the Godfather of the paranormal. He's the Godfather of soul. He really is. Because when we're sitting there and, just talking, all of a sudden, this guy can shuffle. He gets happy feet. And it's great. And we get a chance to go and we will do a shuffle, usually because we're old and we're walking someplace we don't want to talk about right now. But anyway, let me bring on friend Johnny Zaffis. Johnny, welcome to the show. Oh my God. You know what? I'm just going to tell you, you're a sight for sore eyes. And no matter where you go, I have to say that there's mischief. Oh, let me tell everybody a little bit of mischief this year or from last year. So Johnny and I were appearing at Mansfield Reformatory, and there is a rather interesting award that a small group of authors get together and they award this to somebody new every year. And I'll come right and tell everybody it's a golden penis. It's a golden penis award. So I got it. And I had it on my bookcase for months, waiting for the right person, waiting for that right person. So I brought it with me to Mansfield. I said, who out of all these denizens of the paranormal, who can I give this to? My buddy Johnny. So I run over there, go, Johnny, here, this is for you. You know, you're a great author. Here you go, Johnny. The Golden Penis Award goes to. Now, you would think that Johnny would take it with him. No, all of a sudden he runs out and he goes, oh, let's give it to, was it Mike?
I believe it was, yeah.
Give it to him. Mike goes, oh, this is interesting. Oh, you know what? Let's give it to Shane Pittman. So this thing went all over the place when we were out there. So this is what happens behind the scenes at these events. We're very, very serious with what we do. We love meeting everybody, and we're doing the ghost hunts and we're doing everything there. But this is the stuff that you don't see. So Johnny, what have you been up to, my friend? You know, besides getting the Golden Penis Award, of course.
Just trying to stay out of trouble, getting through the holidays. Same thing with me. Caught that icky crud for several weeks, and man, it just doesn't want to shake. So just basically doing that now and just trying to get through the next couple of months of winter to, get back out on that road, buddy, and do a few things.
Well, it's funny because you and I are very close in age. You're slightly older than me, so I feel much better that the two of us.
That's it.
Was it 3 months or something? I think that's all it is 3 months. And it's funny because whenever we get together, we're like, okay, I went on this case. How long did you stay, Johnny? Oh, about midnight. Midnight. Yeah. I'm home at midnight. Do you remember, Johnny, the times that we used to be out? Was it 5 o'clock in the morning? 6 o'clock in the morning, we'd go get breakfast, and then we'd head back to the hotel after these investigations.
Oh yeah. I still remember. I was just talking about this recently to one of my buddies when I used to work full time. I remember being out in investigations, going into work, going into the gym, taking a shower, changing my clothes, and going into work.
Yep.
If I did that now, Tim, I'd be sleeping for a week straight.
Well, it's so funny because I did the same thing,
yeah.
And you'd be out all night long, and man, I'd hit that asphalt at 7 a.m. and I would be dying. And I was praying that I made it to lunch and I could take 15 or 20 minutes that I could sleep. And then you get home and you're garbage. Now, 2 o'clock in the morning, I got 2 days I have to take. I have to recover.
Oh, yeah.
So, Johnny, what do you think? Do you think that we should perhaps eschew our investigating? Maybe start it like at 5 p.m. and end it at 3 or 2?
Well, I think the majority of the time, and the way I've always really looked at it, if I'm doing a residential or something, again, you go in, you're doing your interviews, you're talking, you start checking everything out. Mm-hmm. You usually could tell if you're going to have, something happening, some type of activity might be occurring, or it's going to be flatlined and it's just going to be quiet. 9 out of 10 times you usually could tell.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, it's so easy. It really is. And, it's funny, Johnny, because you always used to tell me that you're about as psychic as a rock, which is bullshit. But, Johnny, I mean, as well as I do, you get into you go to these locations and it's like, I tell my friend Frank, oh, this is going to be a long night, because nothing's, you just know.
Yeah.
And then there's other times you walk in and you're like, wow, maybe we should start X, Y, and Z in it, So it's amazing. It's amazing the way that is. But you know what? Let's talk about something real quick. The state of the paranormal. How about that? Let's talk about that for a couple seconds because it's a hot topic. I knew that was coming up. But you know what I have seen, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this all goes in cycles, the negative and all the other stuff. Do you remember 25? Well, we've known each other, what, 30, 32 years?
Yeah, it's quite a while, Tim.
I think we figured it out, 32 years. And you remember the days everybody hated each other because there was so much competition for TV. Because TV production companies were just grabbing people left and right and
it was brutal.
Contracts.
Yeah.
Why do you think that there's so much unrest now? Do you think that, well, first of all, let me ask you this. Do you think there's a lot of unrest, a lot of drama going on between like just different people, just not the major personalities, but different people, different tribes out there? And why do you think it's happening?
I don't even really, if you take a look at the big picture of it, all of us that have been around for years, most of us are more so in the background with watching a lot of the, people that have been around, 5+ years, give or take, whatever, where the drama, I mean, I'll sit, Tim, sometimes and read these things and my jaw hit the floor that things post or people will say, or, it just really is something that takes me back. It really takes me back. Yeah. You and I are like, we're a lot alike. We try to get along with everybody. I'm friends with so many of these people, from shows that are off the shows and, different event organizations. I'm friends with them friends. It's got nothing to do. So again, I look at it probably when I start to see some of the stuff occurring and some of it happening now. I think more so just over the past several years with people blogging and doing YouTube shows and just, I mean, my favorite thing to do, and you'll appreciate this, is I get up in the morning, in the kitchen, get my coffee ready. I'll turn and look at my wife and go, let me see what bullshit just got sent to me now. And spend the next hour and a half going through. Let me see what to look at. Johnny, this one said that. Johnny, this one did that. Oh my God, watch it. And it's just like, I don't have to pick up the phone to call anybody. It gets sent to us.
I know. It's amazing. I sit there and I go, really?
Yeah,
really?
I do the same thing. Then I'll go and look and read some of these things that some of these people say or do. And I just, I like to take it back. Oh, there's my niece. My niece is on, Tim. Satori's there.
Both our nieces. She is both our nieces. You know that.
Yes. She goes, stop telling everybody I'm your niece. I go, don't you tell me what to do. Great kids. Great. I love the both of them.
Yeah, I do.
I got to call them. They called me yesterday and I haven't returned their call. I'll tell you, getting this crepola this past 2 times, man, it knocked my butt down. But, with it, it bothers me. I see some of this stuff. I'll never, ever, ever, ever be in agreement with anyone, Tim, going after somebody's wives, going after their kids.
I agree.
I'm sorry, I will never.
I agree.
That is so uncalled for. It has nothing to do with anything. Again, if somebody's done something and, they've moved forward, we're trying to correct them. And people just continuously keep ripping at it and trying to pull it back down. To me, I can't get involved with it. I just can't do that.
I think the reason why you and I have survived as long as we have and not gone totally underground, because there's been a couple times that both of us have talked about saying I've had enough, You know
Oh
what?
yeah.
I'm just going to go back and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Like me, I would just go back and serve churches or whatever. And I think it's because of the fact that the minute that we feel that drama hitting us, we kind of step back and we support the people who we love and the people who have always been good and have stayed out of the fray, and we don't get involved with anything else. And I found that was the best way to do it. And sometimes, you know what, you make enemies because of the fact that you do take a step back, but you know what, it's worth it for state of art, that state of mind. And the fact that, let's face it, Johnny, we've both been in this field literally almost our whole lives.
Before Jesus Christ was around, dude.
Yeah, well, I got you beat because I helped Moses with those.
Oh, the 10 Commandments, you got them, dude? You got them in your museum, huh?
I got them over here, the 10 Commandments. If I could get a hold, listen, I don't have to worry about the 10 Commandments. I have Joseph Smith's death mask here, so of the Mormons, so I don't have to worry about the 10 Commandments. That he supersedes everything on that. I'm just telling you. But I think it's the fact that we've survived this long, and and I think it's a good testament to people who really just walk away from the drama, and I think that's what people need. I think people need to just kind of just say, don't include me in this, and just go on and stay in your lane and do what you do. Because if, when I think about it, Johnny, you haven't changed your philosophy in 30 years. You've always been the same person. And when people go and say they talk about John Zaffis, it's always because of the fact that you are rock steady. Do you think that's a good way of for people to kind of just work within the system?
In any system, actually, choose your battles, choose them wisely. That's what the old man always taught me, and that's what I've always tried to stick to. I think it's only been really, Tim, over the past, several months where I've just reached a breaking point and I'll throw something up. Well, I just, it's just like, no, let it go, or just stop, because you're bringing stuff and you're carrying stuff on. And it is so unrewarding to watch with so many things.
Yes.
Because me personally, I look at things, I think, just like you and I are very much parallel with a lot of things. I mean, I wouldn't think twice of befriending people before. I think I just would. Okay, now it's like, okay, but my guard is up, and I'll wait to see what's going to happen. What is this in detailing? Then all of a sudden I go, aha, there it is. So, but don't get me wrong. I mean, I understand that people want to learn, people want to pick my brain and stuff like that. That I don't have the problem with. That I don't. But again, it's a totally different world. The way I view it, not from our foundation, Tim. Right. My foundation has never changed, and it never will. I mean, even I joked around. You and I were just talking about Lilydale and everything. I still joke and tease about the blue hairs, about how when I did that the last time I was up there, and 5 or 6 of them fell out laughing, and they go, "That's weird for you to say something." A couple of the old timers used to say that, and I go, "Well, that's how long I've been coming up here."
Yep. Well, that's the way. I mean, let's face it. I mean, when I was taking classes there, when I was younger, that's what we called them, blue hairs. And so I mean, that's just a testament. Hey, let me segue into something. You talked about the old man, Ed Warren. You know what? I really there's like one person in this whole field I really wish I could have met. I met Lorraine, but it was Ed Warren. Because of the fact that he was fascinating. And you know what? Love him, hate him. I don't care what anybody says about him, but he was one of the pioneers. And when you start looking at pioneers in anything, it's like they're like seeking in the dark. They're trying to figure out what's going on as they are actually in the field. With Ed,
There you
what was
go.
it? Why was he so fascinated? Because I never. Uh-oh.
Sorry.
The Lord just said, "Hey, Ed's in the room." Anyway, what fascinated him with the paranormal? Because of the fact that he was a Navy guy, and I think he was like seemed like a blue collar guy, and yeah, he was religious, but why so much the paranormal?
Okay, that is, something that I've tried recently to get a lot of people to understand and look at the big picture of the stuff. Was Ed a religious type of an individual? To a point. He was more interested in the supernatural, the magic, the occult, all these different things that never come to the forefront that this man would study or would get involved with. And it drives me nuts, because that's where so much of my knowledge came from, was him, Tim.
Yeah.
The things he would say, the things he would do. And, granted, they were quirky. Like, here's the one thing that I use it as a reference. And the reason I do is because of Rosemary Ellen Guiley, our walking encyclopedia.
I miss
Again,
her. I so missed her.
Dude,
we all miss her.
We all do. And, again, when we work on certain types of cases, and he would go, genie in the bottle, we're out of here, genie in the bottle. And I'd be like, what the freak is he talking about? Again, that was his reference to Jin Jin.
Right.
Okay, that's how he referred to it. Oh, you don't mess with you. No. You got to cut a deal. Again, the foundation was there, Tim. The information and the foundation of the way he looked at things was there on what he would proceed with and what he wouldn't.
Right.
And then I would always be the typical little brat type of kid that I was. And I go, well, no, wait a minute. We could be able to help them out. I told you not to get involved. You don't listen. And this used to go on all the time. And Lorraine would stand there going, oh, now you're getting it. So, I mean, the foundation and the wealth of knowledge he had, and the only way I can describe it to most people, it was very earthy.
Right.
But it took me years to understand it and be able to piece certain things together on what he would mean or didn't mean moving forward. So I can't begrudge that. Now, again, I've spoken on this recently a couple of times where, people say, how messed up he was, the way they lived, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing today if him and Lorraine didn't take the freaking chances they took, them. Exactly. They didn't care. They just plowed right through it. And they knew it. That was the surprising part. And I recently just did, a show, and I talked about that, where newspaper articles would come out or something would come out. Ed and Lorraine would sit there. I would be there, and they'd go, now what do we got to do? Now what are we going to do? We own it. And I would go, no, you have to fix that. Lorraine would always say, John, you don't understand. She goes, once something is out there, then when you try to fix something, sometimes it makes it 3 times worse. We've tried. Sometimes it's better off to leave it alone. But then again, I understand. That's why I'm the way I am now, and so much rolls off of me. A tremendous amount. I'll tell somebody, F off, but it just rolls off of me because I don't care. You're looking at the king of listening to the bullshit over the years. So, again, and I would never, ever, ever now, ever since he went down in 2001, would I ever trade those opportunities I had to be with them. Never would I ever trade that.
It's amazing because of the fact that, now if you go and you look at all of our, let's say our leaders in whatever field that you're talking about. At the time, they were revered and they took their lumps. But in hindsight, what people don't understand is people now look at his time period, him and Lorraine's time period, through 2026 eyes. And they're not understanding it. Now, as someone who started all this, my journey back in the early 70s, I mean, all this craziness, and then, surviving the satanic panic of the 80s and 90s, and, you laugh. We
all did. We all survived it.
About.
Trust me, I got involved with quite a bit too in my day.
Yeah. So, I mean, we survived all that. So you have to take everything in context. And that's the hardest thing, I think, for people that didn't live during that time period, when the new age was just starting and things were starting to ramp up. And then you started getting, the influences of Anton LaVey and the Hollywood set. And, people were running out and buying the National Enquirer for the latest story, and all that. So people are not I don't think people give him enough leeway. And I think that's something that bothers me, because, again, like you said, people like himself, even Hans Holzer.
Oh yeah.
People, they had nothing that they could really like hold on to. And it was like you're walking a tightrope.
They were.
Yeah. So to me, people need to go and really kind of transport yourself back into that time period. And that's where it's tough. Now, off air, we were talking about a specific case. Now, I know, me, Johnny, I've read almost every single book. He's, him and Lorraine had put their name on, and all the articles, and I've seen all the docs and stuff. And, luckily, I'm so thrilled that Jeff Belanger had those interview tapes, that, you could actually hear their voices. I mean, to me, that was like amazing to hear their actual voices. And I've got a couple of their, from their, I think their public access show. I got a couple episodes someplace down here in this mess. It's so great to be able to hear that. But do you think that Ed would look now and change his view of, let's say, because he did feel that they both felt that there was a lot more demonic going on than we do today? I think that's something. Do you think that he would have changed his view towards that? Or do you think that he would have just kind of pushed forward on that? These things actually being demonic.
See, again, it's, we're going on 25 years since the man was down, right?
Yeah.
So many times I'll sit here being involved with something or looking at something and I go, I wonder what Warren would think. What would he do? How would he handle this whole thing? How would he ever handle this craze that came out with the paranormal?
Yeah.
All the TV shows, all the, the different things. I don't know, but I can honestly say, because there was too many incidences when it came to them with them, is because you have to remember they were still that generation.
Mm-hmm.
They both went to Catholic school. They both, stuck by their religion, with their upbringing of it and stuff. Because I still can remember. I would say different things or talk about different things, and the both of them would get this look of horror on their face. And Ed would say to me sometimes, John, that's sacrilegious. And I go, what do you mean it's sacrilegious? No, it is not. It is not, but they firmly believed that, Tim.
Right.
Firmly.
Right.
So that was their grain in them. Now, how would they look at it today? I don't know if my uncle would have adjusted accordingly, is the best way I can put it to you. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if he would have or if he wouldn't have, but sure would be interesting.
I
Just
think so.
if I could bring him back right now, bring him back and sit him down and show him everything and look at him and go, what do you fucking think now, old man? Just to be able, I can see him now looking at me and he go, shut up, kid. That would be the first thing out of his mouth. First thing out of his mouth. So I would, again, like I said, I look at that. I mean, good example, Tim, is poltergeist cases. Back when I started, we thought they were demonic.
Right.
We didn't know any different.
But that was the common thought.
Correct.
Because of the hierarchy and all the patterns and stuff.
Yes.
We all were taught that. Right. Yeah. Early on, we were all taught that.
Yeah. Now today, I mean, it's psychic kinetic energy that's built up. It's PK, as we call it. I don't think 9 out of 10 things when it does with poltergeist cases have anything to do with the demonic. I just don't. Yeah, they run their course and they could stop. Well, so again, it's weird.
How many exorcists have you worked? I've worked with a couple exorcists, and they are like this. Tim, you tell me that you don't believe in the demonic. No, I don't. Well, what do you call this? Well, that's a lower entity, blah, 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 PK, whatever, blah, blah. He goes, that's what we call the demonic. And you said, I remember sitting there and having this bishop tell me this and went, I just had an epiphany. I understand this now. Now we're just talking semantics. And I think a lot of it was the fact, again, a lot of it was left over from that time period. Now, even the spiritualist religion that was supposed to be so advanced, their blue hairs back in the early 2000s were firmly ensconced in 1970s knowledge.
Correct.
The Morris Pratt Institute. That's they're the Spiritualist Education Institute. That and you couldn't change anything. I remember going and telling them, "Hey, this is what we're finding out now. This is no." And they wouldn't change. Now, you know what? I want to ask you, and we talked again a little bit off the air about this. There was a case that Ed really was pushing on. And I mean, if you go back, anybody that goes back and starts doing a little bit of research towards, I would say, I forget when the case actually took place, but he was pushing for the government, the legal system, to accept the devil made me do it.
The Glotzel case, Arnie Johnson.
Right, yeah? Right. Yeah. Where he ended up killing his landlord and all that. Why was he so forceful? What was it that brought him into that sphere? Why was he really pushing for that? Because I've seen several interviews, old interviews, news interviews, and I've read a couple articles, and he was really adamant about that. Why do you think that was?
He believed very strongly in what we refer to as transient possession. Mm-hmm. When a person could be purely 100% possessed, and once that, as I will refer to it now, once that energy leaves that individual, they might not remember situations, they might not remember anything or recall anything. He firmly believed that was what happened with Arnie. Mm-hmm. So, again, do I know? No, because I wasn't there. None of us were there when all this happened. There's been several other revelations or discoveries since the whole actual case. Some of the things that transpired and occurred that they didn't bring out, which probably they should have, and it would have been looked at differently. I agree. One of the key things with that was Ed was convinced in his mind at that point, and so was Lorraine, that, finally we'll be able to open up the doors and get our legal system to actually acknowledge the fact that people can be possessed, or people, or properties can be haunted. That was what his main objective was with that whole thing. And it did not go that way. It just did not. So there again, to this day, I know I shouldn't say that, because there are certain situations where I know where judges have been a little bit more lenient with certain things with the paranormal. Not possession, no. But with the paranormal.
Or with the haunting, or you have to, if they ask if somebody passed away in the house, realtors have to disclose things of that nature. I know here in New York State you have to. I'm not sure how the rest of the country works. So I mean, it's really amazing, because this was almost as if he was pushing for something that may have been a lot of the psychological side, but there's always a reason for it. And for them to be able to go, and at least you have to have the case heard. Have this heard. That was earth shattering back then. And I remember, I think I still have old clippings from that case in my collection here someplace. But yeah, so I mean, it's amazing. Johnny, question. We got a question for you. Let me scroll back, and here we go. From Tammy Jacobs, question: what do you think is the new generation of haunted collectors? Do you think these collections are in good hands?
Yes, with some of the people out there, absolutely. Absolutely. There's several youngsters. And I think all of us do help them out, and get involved. With different. Again, what I look for with a lot of this is the respect that they show. They go into the history. They will say possibilities. This was tied in with this or tied in with that. I mean, those are a lot of the things I look at when I deal with some of the people, that are collectors today, because there's a heck of a lot of them.
Right.
And, and I've had it said to me by a couple of the different fairly larger collectors. They go, you befriended us like it was nothing. I go, because I watched you. I see how you operate. I know how you operate, what your motive is. So again, I'm going to look at that a little bit differently. So again, I don't know but that's me when it comes into some of those things, and the way I look at it, the torch has got to get passed on.
You know what? Here's the thing, Johnny. You have to go, and a lot of people have asked me, and I'm sure they ask you the exact same thing. What happens when you're gone? What happens to the collection? And I thought to myself for the longest time, I don't care, but then I thought, you know what? We are wardens of these collections. We're the ones that take care of them. And I would really hate to see the majority of my little, as I look around, I go like this, my little collection just get piecemealed out and, gone to the four directions. Do you think it's a good idea to perhaps add into a will or make some kind of arrangements for these collections to go into the hands of a person that that will respect? Because let's face it, we both have things that in our collections that came out of nasty hauntings. We have things that came out of like murders. We have highly venerated pieces, like that, and I mean, like that, the copy of that death mask of the Mormon prophet.
Yeah,
that is a highly venerated piece, and I mean, I look at that with reverence. I don't bring people down here and go, "Hey, that's a freak show. Take a look at this." That's not what I do. So, do you think it's a good idea maybe to kind of make arrangements? Because since here's the thing, Johnny, you're a little older than me. We have to think of these things, you know.
See, the running joke though with me is, because with the kids and my wife and everything, because my wife says that all the time. She says something does happen to you. She said, this is going to be totally mayhem here. She said because three-quarters of the stuff, again, what do we do? How do we move forward? Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, well, there's the avenues and there's different things because our world is so different today.
Yes, it is.
I could see, whether you or I should pass away, our wives, so they're going to be ringing the phone off the hook, different people offering to buy the collections.
Yes.
We know that's going to happen. So I have certain things that, I don't know if I'd want them getting into certain people's hands.
Right. I agree.
So, but what I found more interesting over the past couple of years is my three kids, all three of them really don't have that big of an interest in it. But yet my grandkids do, too, especially two of them, my two youngest ones. And my oldest daughter never wanted nothing to do with the paranormal. She's the one with the three kids. We'll sit. We just did it again at Christmas time, and my granddaughters are this, that. Well, Grandpa about this. And my daughter will sit there, and I didn't even know that. I go, I told you were going to get paid back because you wanted nothing to do with the paranormal. So, I think if in the event of different things, I would venture to say that my wife pretty much knows who I would trust and who I wouldn't trust. That I could tell you that.
Same here.
When we're sitting talking and everything, in regards to different people and different scenarios with the people collecting and everything. Here's a good I don't know if you know the Radicals or not, Lauren and Danny. Okay, they were doing a little gig about 20 minutes from here. And I wanted to see how they did their presentation and everything. Oh, you would think Jesus Christ came down. And I'm like, why is everybody getting nervous? And they're like, because you're John Zaffis. And I'm like, I'm not here to knock it or anything. I just want to watch your presentation and, see how you do it and everything. Just like I did with Cody and Satori. I did the same thing way back.
We all did that. We all did that.
So, again, I enjoy that because that shows me where the passion is. It's showing me what they feel, how they feel, why they're doing what they're doing. And again, it's very well done. And I like what the bunch of these kids are doing.
Well, it's funny because the joke here is I've got two friends that I won't even be cold and they'll be in the basement.
Oh, yeah.
Already putting tags on stuff, but at least I know that those two will always go and they will have reverence for what I have. And
correct.
To me, that's a big thing. And, it's funny because people don't realize when you are a collector of haunted things or old things, like, I have a collection of Victorian mourning.
Oh,
pieces.
yeah.
These are things that hold high emotions and high vibrations.
Yes, they do.
And, it's funny because now I'm very neutral. My basement is very, very neutral. I may have a shadow person once in a while or, something may drop down here, but that's it. Everything's quiet. It's the same as you. But I think it's because of the fact that everything is vibratory in nature. And I feel that even the questionable pieces, that we've talked about, how do I handle this, Johnny? How can I clear this? Whatever. I believe that because we respect everything, and actually, and you love every piece that you have. You're like me. The piece comes in there and we get excited to have to be a part of our collection. I think that, I think that it's almost in its very, very, it's very, very makeup that it can kind of, whatever these pieces have some kind of personality or emotion or something, it can feel that. And I think that's why we don't really have a problem with what we have. Because now the Warrens used to have a priest come in and bless. Do you have somebody come in to bless? Because I don't really have anybody. I walk around with some old tea water and mixed in with some Florida water, and I sprinkle it around once in a while here.
But it's still a positive, which is a good thing, whether it's done by clergy or it isn't. But yeah, Father Larry Elward.
Oh, Elward, how's he?
Yeah,
doing?
Debbie, they're doing good. They're doing good. I was just talking to them this morning. Again, with Debbie and Larry, we've been around each other for 40 plus years. And Larry and I were 16 years old when we met. We were taking classes at the Warrens.
Wow.
So that's how far back him and I go, And then he ended up marrying Debbie and everything. Then years later, which is still weird because we haven't figured it out. We were all standing in my kitchen, and Debbie had called, and he came up, Elward. One of my sister-in-laws, Julie, was standing there, and she goes, Elward. And she looked at me, she goes, are we related to them? And I looked, and I went, I don't think so. And she goes, Johnny, that's the same, last name as Dana and Grandpa. I go, I know. I said, but he's never said anything. So then all of a sudden, out of the clear blue, I said, Debbie, ask Larry if he was related to any of the Elwards in Maine. And he goes, well, yeah, Cheryl's grandfather was my uncle. And I'm like, all these years, we never knew it. So it was just funny like that. Then Debbie goes, oh, this is really bad. I go, why? She goes, I have to hang around with you now, your family. She goes, this is even worse.
Listen, it could be worse. It could be worse. Believe me.
Yeah. But that was so funny.
We've been at some of the Paracons, and people have come up and go, are you related to? And even if I am, you take one good look at them and say, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. Johnny, let me bring up a little touchy subject. A lot of people, man, I was like just blown away by all the opinions and everybody that's jumping on this bandwagon. What do you think about the Warrens' house being sold? I mean, and I'll just go first. I think it's probably a good thing. And I really think that I really think that Matt and his friend
Elton,
that they're going to preserve it. What do you think? What do you think about them it being sold?
Well, I will give especially Elton kudos. I mean, Tim, they sunk a heck of a lot of money in restoring that house.
That house. I know what old houses are like, and when people get older, we've all gone through the parents and everything, and having to go and dispose of property, and before you can dispose of it, you have 1,001 things that have to be fixed. Yeah. So I mean, I was thrilled that they've been working on it.
Yeah, they're doing a phenomenon. I mean, I've watched all of it and everything. But for me, Tim, it's probably harder because it's family.
Yeah.
It's my aunt and uncle. So when I respect it, what they're doing. I can't say I don't because I do. Getting caught in between situations where there's no big hidden secret. All of us don't get along. It's never been a hit. I've never hit it. So again, after my uncle went down, I went my way. But anyhow, I think a lot of times when you look and you see where certain things are done and the way they're handled, I mean, I think the young man, Elton, has tried to show as much respect in handling the way things are done. It's unfortunate some of the other people that were let in on the property didn't quite get the big picture. That'll get me fired up. That got me more angry than anything. But
you notice I didn't bring that part up.
Yeah, that's what really, when my posting went up about everything, that's when I went, boom, I went off the Richter scale, and you could not calm me down after that. So looking at the different things and that they're preserving some of it, I can understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's several things that get brought up continuously. Personal letters of theirs that are there,
Right.
their 50th anniversary things that are there. My uncle's flag from, when he was buried is
Right.
still there.
Yeah.
And I go, well, I can't speak for Judy. Okay. Why she made the decisions on what she decided to do or not do. So, again, I don't care what anybody says. That was her family, not Tony Sparrow's family. It was Judy's family.
Right. I agree.
So as you can see, I could get fired up real quick because I always tell everybody, you're pulling the paranormal, our work, our family, and you're putting all this in. And man, that's an explosive situation. It really is. So I look at it, and I mean it wholeheartedly that the young man has done a tremendous amount of work preserving it, and trying to show quite a bit of dignity towards Ed and Lorraine.
I agree.
So
because I'm seeing, again,
say it like it is, buddy.
the early morning coffee. Get on the phone. Start seeing all of this scuttlebutt going on and people whining, and I think to myself, first off, why do you care? I care because of the fact that I think the house should be preserved, because I believe that they were pioneers in this huge endeavor that we call the paranormal, and this huge cultural phenomena that this tsunami that we were a part of. And I think that alone dictates that location, that structure should be preserved in some way.
Mm-hmm.
But what I really object to is everybody going and literally fighting over this one bought it, that one bought it. I have a problem with that because of the fact that you're not part of that family. Do you know what I mean? There's other locations now that we're not gonna jump into that are a little bit more touchier. But yeah, I'm gonna do a sidestep. I'm not gonna lie to anybody. I'm gonna do a sidestep on it. But I really feel that, these people that were just like so against them buying the Warren house and so against this and that, it's like, but what have you done outside of flap your lip or be a keyboard warrior and putting your opinion out there? And that's all you've done.
Yeah. But here, on the flip end of this, I think the majority of anybody that, took that step back and saw this whole thing go down, I think that's what really set everybody off the deep end. Mm-hmm. Seriously. I mean, it was like, well, nobody else even really had an opportunity. It never went to the forefront.
Right.
Again, it's why I walk on eggs with some of this stuff, because it's kind of difficult, because I'll look at something and see something and it'll bother me. It'll bother me that, again, all right, they're touching it, they're moving it, but then I'll walk away and go, it's got to be taken care of. It has to be preserved,
Agreed.
But
Agreed.
Because it's personal.
Agreed.
So if it was probably somebody else's house that were, famous people that were ghost hunters with stuff like that, I'd probably be like, oh man, I wish I could have got my hands on, this, or gotten my hands on that, with the same type of scenario. But again, out of all decency and respect, I have to say I've watched a lot of the videos with the work that Elton basically had put in, because Matt's always out on the road, and it's Elton, the one that's basically heading up the restoration and the fence he put up around it, the work he put into it, and everything is basically preserved it. And,
Yes.
Again, I can't knock that. The other parts of it is because it's family and it's a personal thing to me.
Right.
So
Right.
I feel the way I feel, and no one's going to change that.
So in other words, Johnny, thumbs up, right?
Thumbs up.
Okay. That's Johnny and I will be in the terminal, and we go in like this. Go, what do you think, Johnny? We're going to make that flight? That's what he says. We never make the flight, but that's neither here nor there, Johnny.
But it is discouraging when,
and
it is very, very hurtful when you see somebody going in there and videoing and touching the things, and the motive is just to tick people off and aggravate people. That was the whole intent and the whole motive behind that whole thing, and people were buying it hook, line, and sinker. People, open your eyes and look.
That's what hurts. I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem because there's so much incendiary content that is in social media now. It is worse now than it ever was. And now that we throw in AI and we don't know what's real, what's not real, coming from the government, coming from the paranormal, coming from all sectors of life, we don't know anymore. And I think that is something that just keeps us all off balance. And I think that's the problem with the paranormal too, because I believe the paranormal is off balance with so much because people can't agree on different things. And it's like, well, X amount said this or X amount said that. And then you find out that somebody had made an AI, meme. And, it's like they never said that. And that's what hurts. I think that's what hurts. And I think that's what is destroying the paranormal as it is today. And that's what does hurt. But Johnny, okay, let's switch gears again, buddy.
Okay.
You ready to switch gears?
Yeah.
What do you think of all the big cons kind of disappearing? Do you think that it's a good thing that we go back to the old days where like you and I were barnstormers and we'd hit 30 different locations in 29 nights, or do you think that do you think that it's the fact, or do you think that we're going to miss those big mega events where everybody in the world will be at them? Do you think it's better that we work smaller, let's say 50 and under people at these smaller events? You think that's more advantageous?
I've always looked at it as two separate entities. When we're doing our paranormal quote unquote conventions,
right?
Where all us talking heads come out, blah blah blah, and everybody's there.
Listen. There's only one talking head, and that's this guy here. I just whatever he says. He asks me a question. Half the time I don't hear what he says, and I just make something up, and he nods his head and goes on to the next panel.
I think that there's been a pretty good run on it. They lasted a lot longer than I predicted. I predicted right after we came back out of COVID that we weren't going to see a lot of that stuff come back. You and I talked about that.
Yes
I said I don't foresee it, but it did. But now we're to the point where there's just so many of them.
Yes.
I mean, every time you turn around in any given time framing when it's warmer and everything like that, you can have 4 or 5 major events happening within one weekend. Now, what we have going on is, this convention, that convention, everybody's trying to pull for that dollar. Everybody's fighting behind the scene. My convention is better than your convention. Yes. Oh, this is that. And it's just like, it gets to the point, Tim, where I just sit back and go, what happened? What happened? You're doing good. You get a good group that's going to turn out for it. Face it, you and I've known this for many years. You're not going to walk away a multimillionaire. Not within this realm of it. Again, I only know Johnny, one person out of all of us that became a multimillionaire. And it's because he's a very smart businessman, and that's Zach.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's a multimillionaire.
Yep.
But again,
think about
do
it,
the right
Johnny.
moves.
Think about it, Johnny. You and I came from a sector. We worked. We had jobs.
Yep.
We worked. We collected a pension.
Yeah.
And, we had a foundation. That's why I always love Dustin, because Dustin is still out there. Not only is he out there,
he's still working.
And he's working.
He still works his job. Yeah.
I think that's a big problem. I think that's where a lot of people have gone and missed the boat. A lot of people jumped into it. I remember when I was doing a pilot, and they were like, "Are you ready to go? Are you ready to go green light?" I said, "Well, yeah, but you have to do it within this time frame. You're going to have to carry my insurance, my Cadillac plan for medical insurance." And they're like, "We can't do that." I go, "What do you mean you can't do that? I'm not going to, what do you think? I'm going to go and I'm going to quit?" And you know as well as I do, because you worked with these production companies, and they just it sinks, it tanks, and what happens?
Boom.
They just go off to another project. They don't care about the future. You and I will turn around and have nothing. And that's something that really always bothered me. And I see too many people right now, without mentioning any names, too many people out there in the celebrity world that now are starving because of the fact that this whole genre has gone and changed.
But you just brought up the whole section of it. I mean, you and I both worked 40 years of our lives, full-time jobs.
Yeah.
Full-time jobs. So
and a couple part-time jobs.
Part-time job. Me too. I remember when the kids were little, I used to go work at Caldors at Christmas time. You know me with Christmas, setting everything up and everything, selling bicycles and you name it. And I'll never forget that one time I was in the Christmas department at Caldors in Trumbull, Connecticut. And someone comes right up behind me and they've got their finger going up and down my back. I turn around and look, and there's Lorraine. And I busted out. I started laughing. She goes, "What in the world are you doing?" I said, "The kids wanted new bikes. I could get a discount. I can make the money here." And she says, "You still working your full-time job?" I go, "Yes." She goes, "Oh, that's why we haven't heard from you, dear." I said, "Yeah, no, I had to work. I got to make some money." But anyhow, again, today people say that to me and I go, "No, I didn't get my house from ghost busting. I didn't get my cars from ghost busting. Nothing."
Really?
Yeah. That all came out, all this came afterwards. So
I will say I got a couple good hoodies and a couple t-shirts out of ghost hunting. That's it. That's pretty much it when you think about it.
Yeah.
But I think that's a big problem. And I think what a lot of people have is the misinterpretation that this is a career. And unless you become a clergyman, a part of the clergy, that's a career. Unless you are a psychiatrist or you're in family counseling or something like that, that's a career.
Yeah.
But this is not a career. This is something that, if you can jump in and get 2 years, 3 years on a series, you're very lucky. And then you can ride that tail for about 2 years after that. And then that's it. Now you are, who you are, except for you, Johnny, because you are the Godfather of the Paranormal and everyone loves you. I'm just going to say that.
Well, I don't know if that is everybody loves me. I know a lot of people that would like to break my neck if they could get away with it. But I think with the longevity with me is because, and the same thing with you, is because we've been around so long.
True.
And I'll say that to people. I go, "You don't understand, guys. I was around before social media even, before computers even came about or anything." So again, I'm known in so much of the circles and different things. If I was, 30 years younger or something, would I even contemplate going into something like this full time? No, because I can see the writing on the wall. Never. It's going down. It's going down. It's going down. It's happening.
And and my big thing is this: too many people want to chase that fame train. And here's the thing: once you get it, what are you going to do? Once you catch it, what are you going to do with it? And that to me was always the question. Like you and I, you know what? We've turned a lot of what we do into helping people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many events? I mean, you and I talked. You know how many events I did last year for benefits or for
Mm-hmm.
preservation and all that. I mean, the idea is that we give back, and people that come up to us, we don't think twice about sharing our ideas or sharing our experiences or helping them out. But how many people are looking for that golden dollar, that they're looking for the golden egg out there, and that I think is what I think that is probably what is going to go and ruin and bring down everything that we've created over the years. And that to me has always been sad. I always thought to myself, that's something that is just that's unfortunate. That's
And
unfortunate.
it's very unfortunate because again, there's several people that I've known maybe for a good 10, 15 years that, oh, they quit their jobs and they went into this full time. I would tell them, you're making the biggest mistake you could possibly make. I say, because there's no guarantees. One year you could do 10, 15 gigs. The following year you could only do 3 or 4. You have
Exactly.
no insurances to back you. You got to pick all that up on your own. And they're like, yeah. Now I'm watching some of them struggle. And they can't even pay their rents. They
Yes.
can, because they quit these good damn jobs they had to go out and chase Casper the freaking ghost. Do it part time. When you're older, then you can make a different decision when you already are established.
Well, Johnny, I always told you the story about when I was a kid and that old timer in Lilydale looked down at me when we were up by the Maplewood Hotel. And
Mm-hmm.
he was up on we at the time kids couldn't sit up there on Friday and Saturday nights. That was only for registered mediums and guest mediums. And I always remember him looking down at me and saying, "You know what, boy, this is what you're learning here is to be an addition to your life, not to be your
Mm-hmm.
life." And at that time, all the blue hairs and all the mediums, they're almost all blue hairs down there at the time. They had all had careers.
Yes.
And they retired, and then they were doing the
Correct.
mediumship full time.
Yeah.
And I always thought, that stuck with me because this should be an addition to your life. Paranormal, the investigations, the wonderment that you and I, we can't even describe to our listeners the wonderment and blessings and all the craziness that we've experienced over those so many years.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
but yet they're additions to our lives instead of being our entire lives. And that's the one thing that I always tell a lot of people when they're really asking me, because a lot of people come up to you and ask you the same question. How can I get on TV? How can I do this? How can I do that?
Always.
I say, don't quit your day
Always.
job.
You know me with my quirky sense of humor, and I'll turn to a lot of them. I'll just go, if it was 20 years ago, I'd be able to answer some of that for you. And they'll look at me and go, what? I go, I don't know. Best thing I can tell you now is do a freaking YouTube channel. I said, those are more popular than the TV shows.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Johnny. Oh yeah. Johnny, can I keep you on for a
Yes,
couple more minutes?
absolutely.
You're my hero. Today we're listening to the melodic voice of Johnny Zaffis, that cantankerous New Englander that I love and adore, who is my slightly older brother. Johnny, a lot of people have asked me, what is why do we collect what we do? Do you think that when do you think that we collect it because it's got a history to it, or it's got some kind of pedigree to it, or do you think it's something more? Do you think it's that we were born, guys like you and I were born to feel that energy within these things that we bring into our homes and collect?
I think it's all of the above. I think that there's a combination of so many different avenues with this.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, I still could go right back to my very first haunted item. Ed threw it at me into the back seat of the car. You want that, kid? I still looked at him like, what the hell am I going to do with it? It's a little statue. But that got me interested, and I went and started picking up books on reading about things. And back then, it was, the Hope Diamond. Remember the old Scotland? I think it was
Oh my
Scotland
God,
with
yes.
the death chair. Remember that? And they had
Yeah. Oh my
hanging up
God,
in the.
yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't hear anything about that anymore. I don't know
No.
whatever became of that. But I mean, it was just reading, about several of these items. And I remember after that, I went up to the house. I was telling him and everything, and he would sit there and just start laughing. And I'd be like, why does he always laugh? Because he would always give me a little taste of something, because he knew after that I'd go in and start poking around to see what I could learn and what I could find out about it. And again, that's the things that intrigued me was the fact of, the different things that we look at and we understand on doing different things. So I think it's all of the above. I honestly do.
Let me ask you about what's your opinion of all the oddities? People out there collecting all these oddities. Now, you and I, we do collect some oddities. I mean, that's they don't necessarily have to be. Everything doesn't have to be haunted.
Correct.
And so, what do you think about now that the oddities? They're not as as sweeping as they once were. But what do you think of all these people all of a sudden now, like, really loving these oddities? Do you think it's a fad that people are going through, or do you think that these are people that are like almost artsy? I'm starting to see larger and larger conventions now.
With the, it's so funny you're saying that. A couple of years back, I got involved with doing one. And I kept telling the guy, I go, I don't know that I would draw or bring any, because it was all about oddities. They had the different booths, like the things you were talking about. But man, oh man, it was jam packed with people. People were coming up to the table left and right, talking to me and everything. So I mean, it was pretty cool. With the people collecting the oddity things, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's interesting. We have several mutual friends that collect weird things. So including us. But I don't know. It's so hard today.
Yeah.
It's hard to pinpoint whether, okay, is this just something this person's going through and, it's going to wane after a while. I don't know, because like the majority of people I know that do get involved are really passionate about what they get involved with. I mean, just look at the fact of the whole underground with a lot of the serial kill. Oh, when I got exposed to that, I was like, I could not believe the amount of things from the serial killers and murderers and all these different things that are sold underground and enormous amounts of money, but there can't be any trail. There can't be, so it's wild. It's just wild.
It was, I was first introduced to it while ago, and I had considered buying, I don't know, some Manson artifact, and I don't know, and I just thought, I don't know, I don't want to like keep branching out and more and more and more. But once I tagged in to that underground, the amount of stuff that's out there is amazing.
It's mind blowing.
It's that one serial killer, Warris, I can't think of her name, her first name. They have her underwear. People have sold her underwear. I've seen Gotti's pants for sale, and I'm like, I don't know, I don't know if I really want to kind of push that. I personally, I have some pieces. Don't get me wrong. I do have some pieces in my collection, but it's like, I don't know if that is something that I want to get involved with. Now, I mean, again, if you have a public museum, well, those are the oh my God pieces that people come in to see. But as a private collector, I don't know if I can do that. And it's the same thing. And this is where I'm segueing into it, Johnny. We've just had that the Gerlach that was picked up in Pennsylvania for grave robbing. And I've seen some of the police video was sent to me through different channels. And it is so disrespectful, so bizarre. And I do know people who, do have human
me
bones
too.
in their collection. You and me, we both understand. We both know that.
Oh shoot, I have them. Yeah.
I would say I have them, but Nancy's listening, so I can't say that I have them because she doesn't want me to have them. But anyway, what do you think about the collection of that? Because I do know people that have had skulls. I know people that with the tourist, the tourist trade, shrunken heads, from the turn of the 19th century or 1900s. Now, what do you think of that collection? What do you think that there's something that may be a little disrespectful, or do you think that, well, if you treat them right, it's okay?
I look at it just mainly from the simple fact that it got brought out into the forefront.
Right.
It's always been there.
Yes, sir, it has.
And,
yes, it has.
I'll share this with you. There's this one gentleman. He was up in Canada, and multi-millionaire, and he had warehouses full of, you name it, right? I mean, I was like a kid in a freaking candy store, sort of looking at some of the collectible things that this man had. But that's how I got introduced to this whole underground thing many years back, and the amount of money that people spend on that. But the reason I was bringing it up, because he had one whole section just with human remains in it. And, all marked, all in these glass things. And I mean, unbelievable. But anyways, some very, very famous people. He had bones from them. And I'm like, okay, and you know me. I go, well, how do you get this stuff? He goes, we don't discuss that. We don't. Yeah, that's what he said to me. He goes, there's no reason to discuss or bring any of that stuff up. Because my running thing always with me was that, I would love to have a mummy. I really would just like to have a mummy, but not to disrespect. I'm not interested in grave robbing. I'm not interested in anything like that. So again, it's now today. The other thing too, we got to be very careful with, is it the real McCoy, or did somebody recreate it or make it up? I mean, there's more and more fraud coming up with a lot of our collectible items, let alone the haunted items.
Yes. Well, first off, the first thing when I teach a class in haunted items, first thing I say, don't buy it off of eBay. Don't buy it off of eBay. Don't do it. Just don't do it. But you're right. There's so much. I actually do know somebody that owns a mummy, and I kind of have a problem with this. What they do is they have a Victorian unwrapping. And me, you and I, we know a lot about the Victorian ages, and that was a big thing. Mummy unwrapping. Everybody would have a party. They would have a party and have dinner and everything, and then unwrap this mummy. And these people unwrap it and then wrap it back up, and then I really have a problem with that. I mean, it's right up there with the guy that they found, the mummy of the outlaw they found in that Laugh in the Dark, that carnival. He was hanging there.
Right.
He was hanging there, and
yeah,
I kind of have a problem with that, and it's like that kind of disrespects the person. And me, I mean, I'm out there at Concordia Cemetery during the summer. I'm digging up and trying to restore these old stones. And I'm laying on top of these graves with a plastic trowel, and exposing them. And I think to myself, what I'm doing is restoring the respect for these people, individuals.
Mm-hmm.
I have a little bit of a problem with people that are doing that. Now, I do see a lot of mummies. I do see a lot of Peruvian mummy cloth that you can't really get, but I do see them out of museum collections.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that would you feel it was ethical to buy from a museum collection? I mean, I always have a problem with it with the American Civil War stuff, because I understand, these families donate this stuff and then it goes out the back door. I have a problem with that. But do you feel that it's ethical to kind of buy these museum collections?
I guess again that would be where I'm going to look at the perspective. What is the motive and what is the reason?
Right.
Why are they doing it to preserve it? So, again, it doesn't end up where it shouldn't, which we know 9 out of 10 times it usually does.
Right.
Again, I mean, it's just, it's wild. It's very, very wild.
Yeah, it is the Wild West now. That
It's
is human remains, and some of the some of the accompanying things. It's the Wild West. Well, let's look at Zach's museum. Now, no shade, guys. I want to just everybody to understand. I have no shade, but they have pieces of. I mean, they have Manson's cremains. They have some of Manson's cremains in there, and I'm like, okay, I understand that this is a thrill ride. This is part of a collection.
yeah.
I don't have a problem. I personally don't have a problem with it. But I did have a problem when they did the recovery of Manson's remains, that he was in a refrigerator for I don't know how long, and they did the whole thing, and the whole documentary, and you see these people like taking his the ashes and rubbing it on their faces and their bodies and stuff.
I saw, yeah.
Yeah, I thought the documentary was just nothing more than the big thrill ride, and I really thought that was a little out there. So I mean, it's a razor's edge, being a collector, but being an ethical collector. I think that's where we both, let's face it, you and I both have talked about this. We're offered so much stuff, and it's like, should we take it? And I know you've turned stuff down. Matter of fact,
I'm gonna share this story that I've never talked about. I don't even think I told you about this one. The skull from Gettysburg. Did I ever talk to you about that?
no.
Oh, well, there was a skull. One of the a captain or something, and I can't quite remember what it was all about. I'm trying to remember the whole story. Anyways, it was a skull in this cabinet, and it had to remain in the family because it had something to do with cursing. Well, this guy was like the seventh generation that had the skull. He was hiding it in the yard, and this whole thing broke out. He opened it up. A wicked haunting broke out. He wanted me to take the skull. And there's a lot to the story, but I don't want to go too deep into it. And I said, I would be extremely uncomfortable with that.
Right.
I said, just from what you are telling me and the circumstances to it. Then he said to me, he goes, well, John, there was quite a few skulls that got removed in the battle.
Right.
And I said, well, I've heard of a few, but anyways, he wanted me to take that and hold on to it. And he said, because he had no one to leave it to. And I said, no. I said, to be honest with you, you know what the person's name is. I would contact Gettysburg or something and have it interred with the rest of the body.
Right.
And he said, oh, you're out of your mind. Do you know what this is worth? I said, you're missing the point. You're telling me you're being haunted. You got all these things happening because you opened up the case after all these years. Now you want me to take it. I said, which I'm uncomfortable with due to the circumstances of it. I said, and I think it should be reinterred down there. He goes, well, you bring it down there. I said, no, then I have to explain how I ended up with it. I said, no. I said, you're putting me in the middle of something I don't want to be involved with.
Believe me, as someone who has worked with national parks over the years, there is a long paper trail and interrogation that is always associated with these.
That's what I figured. That's what I figured. And I was just like, okay. But it took forever, took forever. Then I guess he ended up passing away. That's what it was. And his wife said, I saw he was going back and forth with you. And I responded back to her. I said, I told him to, if he's got the paper trail and everything with it, to just send it back to them, get a hold of somebody, see if they can come get it. And she said, thank you very much, Mr. Zaffis. That's what I'm going to do to bring closure and so that there could be peace brought back to this particular person. Exactly. To me, okay, it ended on a good note, but yeah. So yeah, Tim, there are things I will not take. I'm not going to get stuck in the middle of it.
No, and you have to. And again, so many people are like, "Well, I would take it." Well, that's good for you, but ethically, I think it's wrong, especially if it's an ID piece, and also, karma comes back at you, so you have to really watch with that stuff.
People don't believe in that, but it does happen.
Johnny, I'm not going to keep you any longer. Where are you? Where can everybody see you? Because why? You are the amazing John Zaffis. All you have to do is just go and pick up your phone and just type in John Zaffis, and you will get a laundry list of where John Zaffis is appearing in 2026. Where can people find you?
That is going to be the best place. I'll be in Gettysburg in the summer. There's a couple of new conventions I'm doing in Atlantic City. There's something I'm doing with Dustin in New Jersey in February. I can't think of the names of all the places. There's like 10 or 15 things that I have already got lined up to do for 2026. So again, the best thing you could do is just look up John Zaffis, and the 99% of everything gets posted on my Facebook page on the places I'll be. I'll be at Hillview sometime in June, I believe that is.
June, right?
Yeah. So there's quite a few.
And we'll be together at Mansfield Reformatory.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yes, Mansfield will be at. That's a fun time, a good time also, too. There's so many of the places I look forward to doing and going back to. And some of those places like that, like Mansfield or anything like that, Ohio, I hope that never disappears. Those people are great. I love what they do.
You know what? I love it there. The investigations, the private ones that I've done there are top notch. And I just love, Shawshank Redemption is one of my favorite movies. So it's like to be able to walk through those halls and look around and see everything. And then really, I love the area. So it's one, and Kathy and Greg are great people. So
they're fantastic people. Also, I will be doing an event there with Cody and Satori. I can't remember what the date is. We just started pulling all that together. So again, got quite a few places I'll be going to. I try to stay at around one or two until our Halloween season. Then usually October, I'm on the road a lot.
And we'll probably see each other in October for a wedding.
Hopefully.
We will. I know. So it's going to be great. Johnny, thank you so much. Stick around so I can thank you off the air. But thank you so much, buddy, for coming on. As close as we are, we don't talk nearly enough. Yeah,
but that's one thing that I always say to people. I can, you're one of those people. I could go a year without talking to you, pick up the phone. It's just like we just talked yesterday.
It's true.
So,
it's true. Yeah. And you know what? Again, I appreciate you. You always giving me help, and I certainly appreciate you being older than me. Hold on. We'll be back in a couple of seconds, Johnny. Isn't he great? I mean, I love him to death. We met, I can't even remember how long ago. And again, we were fast friends, and we're going back to the original Para X days. And he, it was the two of us just have always jived together. So anyway, if you can find one friend like I have with John Zaffis, you need nobody else. So guys, this is Tim Shaw, and be kind out there. Live your life. Don't be a pretender. Don't be a fraud. Just hang out, and be kind to people. That's all you got to do. Just be kind. So, ciao, babies. Take care. You've been listening to Black Cat Lounge. Where is it? Next to the dumpster transfer station where the elite meet. Ciao, baby. Bye-bye.